Welcome back to Market on Close. I'm Jill Malandrino. The major average is still in the green as we go through the last hour of trade. Scott Bauer, he's the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy, is joining us now. And we're going to talk about what's going on with crude oil, a hot topic that we've been covering throughout the day, considering all the noise that we are getting out of Iran. Scott, it's great to have you with us. Now, last week, crude fell nearly 8%. Today, it was up about 2% at the high. I still think that's kind of a small move relative to all the noise that's coming out of the Persian Gulf.
Yeah, it is, Jill, and I think what that tells you is that the overriding theme in the crude space right now is global demand, that it's just not there, and there's still an oversupply. So even with the risks that we're seeing with the tanker seizures, this, that, and the other, what is really happening is we're getting some reaction when that news comes out, and then we're just selling off. I mean, you know, it's the price of crude, especially today, was like a popcorn, up and down, up and down, and then it's settling almost, you know, I don't want to say unchanged, but what, West Texas is only up a fraction right now, right? Just about 0.5% or so.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is that we have an oversupply situation, and there's just too much product in the market. So regardless of what's going to happen in the Persian Gulf, we could still sustain the demand that's out there now. I mean, usually going into the summer driving season, you see those drawdowns, and it's just not happening. It's as if Americans aren't driving anymore.
Not only are we not seeing the drawdowns, we're actually seeing some pretty large builds. And then last week when we saw, you know, the head of the IEA come out and lower the growth forecast once again, I mean, it's really as bearish as it can get out there. And, you know, I just kind of wonder where would crude be if it weren't for some of these risks over the last couple weeks happening out of Iran.
Yeah, and that was a question I was actually going to ask you next is where would we be if we take all this uncertainty and the perceived volatility out of the market? But what does this mean for the stocks that are married to the price of crude?
Well, so far the refiners have not done too poorly here. Obviously, you know, here in the U.S., our record output every single day, there's more and more with you know, no slowing down. So, you know, a lot of those stocks have been good, but some of the big guys, I think you have to start looking at, you know, the Chevrons of the world. They may start running into some issues moving forward here, especially as we're seeing other sectors in start reporting their earnings and watching about guidance due to the tariff effect. What's going to happen, you know, with the tariff effect in terms of how it's going to affect oil? And I think there may be some caution ahead here.
So what do you think the appropriate range is? I feel like we've been between that $50 to $60, $65 range for quite some time now, and they have to keep it at that level in order to remain profitable. I don't think we'll go back to the $20, $30 handles that we saw a couple of years ago, but it just seems to be stuck in that $50 to $60 range.
Agreed, and I actually think that's on the upper end here. I would have said without any of these things that happened over the last couple of weeks, we could have been sub 50. I really think that sell-off that we saw last week was hard, it was fast, it was accelerating. I wouldn't have been surprised to see 47 or 48, and I think that once things settle out, if they settle out here with what's going on with Iran, we may see a new range of 47, 48 up to 55 or so, and I know we're right above, you know, we're trading 56 and change right now. I think that's really the upper end.
Yeah, and to the best of my knowledge, I am not aware of any maintenance turnarounds or planned outages.
No.
Yeah, so there really is no supply coming out of the market.
Exactly, and you know, fortunately for everybody involved, the hurricane, the storm down in the Gulf a couple weeks ago didn't really materialize, wasn't as bad as everybody thought, so you know, we didn't lose much there. So I agree with you, there's not much coming off. But
there wasn't even that much reaction going into the headlines. I remember on the trading desk when Katrina was coming through almost 10 or more than 10 years ago at this point, that the moves were significant. It didn't even move the needle this time.
No, not at all. And I think, again, that just goes to tell you about the glut that we have, the amount of shale that's being produced. And again, nobody's looking to cut back anything here. We just keep producing more and more.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on Market on Close, everybody. Okay. And next,